Soren Kierkegaard, Existentialism Paradox Unwrapped. Soren Kierkegaard was a once isolated Dane, and he grew up to be dubbed the father of existentialism. Now, a key aspect of Kierkegaard's life is that he was a devout Lutheran, often believing Christ was the ultimate paradox in life, putting our life chances in the teachings of a God that we cannot even guarantee exists. Now, Kierkegaard emphasized the idea of a three-stage life. It consisted of the aesthetic stage, also known as the immature stage, the ethical stage, and the religious stage. Kierkegaard's philosophy would argue that you need to move through all three of these stages in order to truly achieve an authentic life. Now we can break all of this down by looking at the board game life. First, you have the aesthetic stage, when you're deciding which life path your character will take, which path will give you the most full experiences and the most pleasurable ones. Now let's say you decide to take the route that leads you through the college path. While at college, you make some new friends, study abroad, and go on spring break. Now you may ask, why is it that you're participating in these events? Well, Kierkegaard would argue that it's to obtain your maximum desired pleasure at that very moment. However, by the time your fourth year comes around, you've exhausted this and you've become bored of doing the same thing year in and year out. No longer are you getting the most fulfilling and most pleasurable experiences in your life. And so you have graduated and entered into the ethical stage of life, where society, the people around you, tell you how to act. Instead of going from spring break to spring break, you are restrained to the rules of society. But first, you must select your job, and lucky for you, you're a doctor. You start right away and you collect your first pay on the very first day. Then, you decide to bike to work to help society preserve the environment. You're taking an outward approach rather than an inward one. Then, finally, after spinning and tiptoeing from square to square, you get married, you meet the woman of your dreams, and no longer is life all about you. You have moved from an inward, self-motivated, to a caring husband. You take your wife on a honeymoon, you visit the in-laws, and you buy a house. It's only a few spins later, after buying your new house, that you find out you're doubling down on your investment, and your wife has been pregnant with twins. Now at this point in the game of life, it's essential to remember the importance of the individual. While you continue to raise your kids, feed the homeless, and recycle, giving back to your community, thinking outward, you also spend time alone. Soon your kids leave the house, and you start becoming more inward thinking rather than outward. Eventually you decide enough is enough. Because you kids have left the house, and because you've paid back your original $100,000 to go to college, you collect your final paycheck and retire. Now upon retirement, there are two homes that you could go to, the countryside acres or the millionaire estates. And you go to the millionaire estates. Why? Because you have managed to win the game, achieving authenticity, Kierkegaard's final life stage. You have settled down and no longer need the thrill that you once did in your earlier two stages, the thrill that stopped so many from having full faith. You have beaten the Christian paradox that Kierkegaard says so many can't. You have reached full authenticity.
Created using Powtoon.